Hello, and welcome to another one of my book reviews. And today, I want to talk to you about Essex Dogs by Dan Jones. Before I get into the novel proper, I do want to point out a sale that, as of tonight, January 8th, this is going to upload January 9th, but as of tonight, there is a sale going on the Broken Binding website, thebrokenbindingsub.com, where you can pick up Essex Dogs and its sequel, Wolves of Winter. You can pick up the 2-pack for 45 British pounds with free worldwide shipping. It started out as a Boxing Day sale, and it's still going on as of recording this. So if this is a title that might interest you, I highly recommend going over to their site and possibly saving a ton on shipping. Because if you're like me over in the United States, you know that the shipping might as well be the cost of another book. So being able to pick up both copies and get free shipping is a godsend. If you already have Essex Dogs, Wolves of Winter by itself is a part of the sale. It's about 50% off. I think it's down to like 13 British pounds, which is cheaper than I pre-ordered it for. But you still have to pay the shipping for that one. But anyways, I wanted to throw this information in the front of the video because I know not everyone sticks around to the end. But anyways, let's dive into the book itself. Dan Jones, if you are not familiar, is a historian by trade. The man has written exclusively, extensively on the Plantagenets, the Templars, Crusaders. He knows his history. But Essex Dogs is his first piece of historical fiction, his first actual work of fiction. And what an introduction it is to Dan Jones's fictional works. So, Essex Dogs is like a medieval Saving Private Ryan or a medieval Band of Brothers. And apparently, he's actually gone on the record to say he kind of went out to write a medieval Saving Private Ryan, and it really shows. So that's like your one sentence summary, if you will. Taking place in 1346, which is coincidentally the number of copies that this edition is limited to. It follows the titular Essex Dogs, who is a ragtag band of soldiers for hire, because all soldiers back in the day were soldiers for hire, who are embarking on the 100-Year War in the footsteps of Edward II. I'm not big on history, British history, so I apologize if everyone knows about the 100-Year War. I'm not as familiar. They don't really teach it in the American schools. But anyways, it follows them all the way from the beaches of Normandy to the blood-soaked fields of Crécy or Crécy. Like I said, I'm going to butcher the pronunciations. It's just bound to happen. I mean, hell, the comparisons to Saving Private Ryan hit right out of the gate. Saving Private Ryan starts with storming the beaches of Normandy. So does Essex Dogs. Captain Loveday, I keep wanting to call him Lovejoy because I'm here in Buffalo and there is a Lovejoy downtown. Loveday Fitztalbot is leading this group of Englishmen, Welshmen, and a Scotsman as they kind of battle their way city to city. Now, I'm not going to say the entire thing is action-packed through and through. The intro, the first chapter of actually landing on Normandy, very action-packed. But then you start to like get into the character-driven stuff for the next probably almost third of a book. There's actually not a lot happening in that third. You're kind of following the crew as they go from city to city, town to town, and deal with the locals. They deal with the tasks given to them, such as retrieving some heads from a barricade of some dead fallen soldiers, dealing with the other soldiers of other battalions that are in the area. So all of these companies are here to earn their wage. They're here to, serve X amount of days and get X amount of gold, X amount of coin. And the Essex Dogs are no different. It does specify on the back here, some men fight for glory, others fight for coin. Essex Dogs fight for each other. I don't know how true that is. I mean, coin is kind of what drove them to fighting to begin with. I mean, yes, they definitely do fight for each other as the novel progresses, but they definitely start fighting for coin. They're all there for money. Although Romford, one of the youngest soldiers, is kind of there to escape his past. The characters, it's a very character-driven novel. It the entire thing is from the point of view of two characters. There is Loveday Fitztalbot, the captain, and Romford, the youngest member of the Essex Dogs. And they kind of alternate between them. A couple chapters here, a couple chapters there. Eventually, the Essex Dogs run into more problems than just the French soldiers that they're going to be fighting. There's a vast array of other characters in the novel from the other Essex Dogs, including Father, who is a drunk priest, drunk and drug-addled priest, Millstone, who's loyal to a fault, Scotsman, who is one of the best characters in the novel. He is funny as all hell. There's even two Welsh archers that are in the Essex Dogs who don't speak English. They actually have no dialogue in this entire novel because none of the Essex Dogs speak Welsh and the Welshmen don't speak English. So those two, despite not having any lines, are very, very interesting characters. They're kind of going to the beat of their own drum. They kind of are deemed kind of savages in a way. The faux pas of being Welsh, but they sort of lean into it and they just have their own good time. But it's just fun reading about them. It's a very character-driven novel. I mean, the action when it does occur is top-notch. I wanted to know what happened to these characters. There are some shocking turns of events that occur, and it left me wanting to read more. If you're looking for a standalone novel, this is not it. It does end on a cliffhanger of sorts leading into Wolves of Winter, the sequel, which I cannot wait for. It comes out in just a few weeks. Like I said, I do have the Broken Binding edition pre-ordered, and I cannot wait to get it. The final act of the novel is a major battle, and you are once again getting into the thick of things. And that's not to say that the only battles in this are in the introduction and the epilogue. There are battles in between when they are sent in to take several cities on the orders of their commanders. But it's not going to be 300 pages of pure action and gore. I mean, there is action and gore in there, but you are going to get a lot of slower, especially in like the first third, slower character-driven dialogue, character-driven story of the Essex Dogs kind of delving into what's driving them, their own little motives. Romford, for example, has, in addition to escaping his past, has a tendency that's going to get him into trouble within the novel itself. But I thought it was a very fun read. It actually reminded me in a way of Joe Abercrombie. It's not as dark as Joe Abercrombie can get, but it's historical fiction, so you're going to see actual historical figures such as the King Edward II, the Black Prince, his son, and the shenanigans that he gets into, as well as, like I said, those commanding officers and earls that they are always butting heads with. But if you are a fan of Joe Abercrombie, you might be a fan of Essex. No, I can't speak English today. You might be a fan of Essex Dogs. If you're not a fan of Joe Abercrombie, you might not like Essex Dogs. If you're looking for just historical fact, this probably isn't for you. It is historical fiction. From my understanding, Dan Jones is a well-versed historian, so I imagine all of the key milestones in this novel actually took place. But the characters themselves, the Essex Dogs themselves, are fictional. But if you leave your brain at the door, you're bound to have a good time. I am not, as I said in the beginning, not as well versed with the history of the 100 Years' War, so I can't speak to knowing what's going to happen. You know, if I'm reading a book on Napoleon, I know Napoleon lost at Waterloo, so I know that's eventually building up to that. But as I'm not versed in 100 Years' War, I was still caught off guard by what lays ahead. And I still don't know what lays ahead when I dive into Wolves of Winter. But if you are British and you are well versed in the 100 Years' War, then there might not be as many surprises for you. But that's why, being a character-driven work, it's still going to be a very enjoyable read if you like the characters themselves. There's not a ton of character development for most of the characters. You scratch beneath the surface for a few of them, but a lot of them kind of stick to their stock characters. The Scotsman is always loudmouth Scotsman. Romford has a little bit of character development, and then Loveday Fitztalbot, who's looking out for his troops through and through, is kind of still looking out for his troops by the end. So you're not going to have any huge character arcs, but the characters are enjoyable, so I think the journey is enjoyable as well. As I said in the beginning, Essex Dogs, at least this particular edition, was published through Broken Binding. It has a nice little sprayed edges. It is signed by Dan Jones in the front. Currently, as of January 8th, you can still buy both titles, Essex Dogs and the sequel, Wolves of Winter, for 45 British pounds with free international shipping, which really does go a long way with these multiple books shipping overseas. The individual title Essex Dogs is not available through Broken Binding anymore. It's only through the two-pack. But if you have Essex Dogs, Wolves of Winter is available by itself. Other than that, Essex Dogs in a regular trade edition should be available wherever books are sold. So you can always pick up a copy at your local bookstore, or they can order it for you. Anyways, I don't have the sequel yet in my hands, but once I do receive it, I will do an unboxing video for that. Very much looking forward to seeing what happens with the Essex Dogs in the next journey of their adventure, which is going to be hard to talk about for that one because there's going to be some spoilers for Essex Dogs that, I try to glaze over for the sequel. Anyways, plenty of other unboxing videos in between here and there for you to check out on my channel, as well as at least one book review a week, if not two, as I play catch up. So please consider liking and subscribing, and we'll see you around next time.